Hey there! Welcome to day 14, 2 weeks into our journey across Canada. I'm going to get right to the map and show you our route for today. It was 613 kilometers. We started off in Summerside, PEI, went across the Confederation Bridge back to the mainland, and traveled through Nova Scotia, stopped in Truro for a coffee break and some sightseeing there. We'll get to that. And then we went to Antigonish for lunch, and then we made our way to Cape Breton Island and found our way to New Waterford, where Rita's mom and dad lived. And then we used the ferry ride from North Sydney over to Port aux Basques as our hotel for the night. The ferry ride is about 8 hours long, so that became our hotel. So now let's get back into the day as it unfolded. Some lovely curvy roads through Nova Scotia and lots of trees. It's a nice day of weather for our journey. We got to Truro, Nova Scotia, and a buddy of mine, Tyler, is from there, so he gave us some tips on what to see, and there was a waterfall there, Joseph Howe Waterfall in Victoria Park, and Tyler told us about another fall if we kept going further along the trail, Weddell Falls, so that was cool. The park was damaged very badly a few years back by a hurricane that came up the coast line and then hit there, and they've redone it very well. You can hardly tell that there was a hurricane there. There were beautiful walking paths and bridges, and to help get up the hills, they had some wonderful ladders to ascend and descend, and one special ladder was called Jacob's Ladder. Now, that is not a Rush song reference, I don't believe, because Rush did a song called Jacob's Ladder, but probably a biblical reference to Jacob's Ladder in the book of Genesis. But that ladder, that set of steps, was a challenge because Tyler told us that Sidney Crosby liked to use that as part of a workout where he would run up and down that ladder. And so Larry and I gave it a try, and well, we certainly didn't do as well as Sidney Crosby.
Go Wayne, go Wayne, go Wayne.
I'll go up all the way too.
So we finally followed along the paths until we made it to the falls, and there is Joseph Howe falls there, and it wasn't huge falls, but it was peaceful, and it was just lovely to walk along, take selfies like Rita did there, and stop at some observation points and observe. Further along, just like Tyler said, there was Weddell Falls, and so we journeyed to there. And then we made our way back and continued on our journey. We came to Antigonish, where we stopped for lunch, and that also happens to be the place where Rita's mom went to university. So that was kind of cool. And then we continued on to make it to Cape Breton Island. A nice sign welcoming us, and then a bridge across to get to that part of Nova Scotia. And the North Sydney Mines was a place where Rita's dad worked. So that was cool to see that sign along our way. And then when you come into Sydney on the Trans-Canada Highway, you come down this hill with a switchback and stuff, and then you cross this bridge to get over to Sydney, and pretty nice little bridge there. And we drove up to New Waterford, and that's where we met Rita's cousin Mary and her husband Huey, and they graciously said they would provide dinner for us. So we had a nice home-cooked meal for a change, and it was delicious, of course. And it was just very nice to visit with them. They were very hospitable, and we also left them a couple of bottles of Geringer Brothers wine from BC. So that was a nice evening. We then moved on to go to the ferry. Now, our ferry left at 11:15 p.m. and you had to be there at least 2 hours ahead of time. Otherwise, you might not get on the ferry, even though you have to have bought a ticket. I bought these tickets way back in January, and even then it was filling up, let's say. But we got tickets, and we rode on to the ferry, and we were shown where to park. And then this guy said, "Have you been on this ferry before?" I said, "No." And he says, "Oh, well, there's the tie downs." And then he walked away. And I looked over, and then there are these big straps with these metal meat hooks on them, and no way I'm going to be attaching them to my bike. And when I booked the tickets, I didn't read anywhere where you're supposed to bring your own tie downs or anything like that. So thankfully, Rita went and got somebody to come over and sort of give us some guidance as to how to do this. And so I ended up putting straps across the seat of the bike with a little padding so it didn't, tear into my seat. And the bike was secured for the trip. And then we went up. We couldn't get a room. They had rooms with beds in them, and those were all booked back in January. So we did get a reclining seat in this area where you could pay $20, and then you got this chair that was comfortable enough to sleep in. And so here's a little view of our digs for the night on the ferry. to have a look around. And the ferry ride, as I said, is about 7 to 8 hours, and we would be arriving in Port aux Basques at about 7 in the morning, and that's going to be our next day. But before I end this video, I have to show you something that was almost the end of our trip and possibly a very bad accident. We were leaving Truro after visiting Victoria Park and heading back to catch Highway 1, the Trans-Canada Highway. And in the cities that we visited, I was always hyper aware of the traffic lights because we wanted to keep Larry and Delia with us. As I approached the intersection, I looked up, saw it was green, looked up, saw it was green. We entered the intersection, saw it was still green. So I was comfortable that Larry and Delia would make the light fine enough. And there was a left turning lane for each direction of the road. And to our right, a work van was waiting to turn left, waiting at the red light. And we passed by a garbage truck that was waiting to turn left. There was traffic coming from the north. And so as we came by the front of that work van, a pickup truck appeared on the other side, going through the intersection and running the red light. I saw him and I knew we were going to get hit. I couldn't imagine a way to avoid it, but all I did was I thought, I've got to try to create distance to delay the impact. And so I cranked the bike over and I gave it some throttle, and Rita saw the front grille of the truck coming right at her, and somehow I gave it enough gas to scoot by as the truck just continued right through the intersection, not stopping, not slowing down, not maybe even realizing that he almost killed us. We pulled over to the side of the road, turned around and looked back, and everybody else in the intersection was just frozen because they saw what was happening. And thank God we made it through. I really still to this day don't know how we did not get hit. But we didn't, and our trip continued, and we're very thankful for that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, and you can subscribe down below, and we will see you in the next video for day 15. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.